He said he had nothing, but his eyes carried secrets worth billions. Episode 2. Whispers and Doubts. The city's mornings were always filled with noise, but this particular morning carried an unusual tension that Zainab couldn't explain. She woke up to the sound of persistent knocking on her door and found Aisha standing outside, arms folded, her face filled with urgency. "We need to talk," Aisha said, pushing her way in with the familiarity of an old friend who didn't need permission. Luqman, still wiping his face after washing, greeted her politely, but Aisha's eyes narrowed suspiciously as she studied him. There was something about the way he carried himself, something too calm for a man who supposedly had nothing. She sat down and began questioning Zainab like a protective sister, demanding to know how long he planned to stay and whether she truly knew who he was. Zainab tried to calm her down, explaining that Luqman had done nothing wrong and had been helpful since he arrived. But Aisha was not convinced. She believed every good act could hide a hidden motive. Meanwhile, outside the house, a few gossiping neighbors were already whispering about the handsome homeless man living under Zainab's roof. Some claimed he was a fugitive, others said he was a secret lover she was hiding. Their words spread like wildfire, finding their way into the market where Zainab worked daily. By the time she opened her fabric store, a few regular customers were already making sly comments. She tried to brush it off, but their judgmental stares pierced deeper than she admitted. That day, Luqman visited the shop to help with arrangements, unaware of the growing storm of whispers forming around them. Aisha decided to take matters into her own hands and began following Luqman discreetly, hoping to catch him in a lie. She noticed the way he observed everything around him with quiet intelligence, how he seemed to memorize routes, count change with precision, and interact respectfully with everyone he met. It didn't match her image of a helpless man. One afternoon, as he left the market, she followed him to a quiet spot near the bus station, where he made a brief phone call. His tone changed, calm but authoritative, like a man giving instructions to subordinates. She couldn't hear everything, but phrases like, "not yet," "observe carefully," and "maintain discretion" made her heart pound. She quickly left before he saw her, confused and slightly alarmed. Later that evening, she confronted Zainab, telling her everything she witnessed. Zainab was startled, unsure what to believe, but her heart refused to label Luqman a liar without proof. She confronted him gently, asking if there was something he wasn't telling her. Luqman paused, his face unreadable, then replied that everyone had a past, and not all truths could be told at once. His answer was vague, but his eyes held a sincerity that made her trust him despite her doubts. Aisha grew frustrated, accusing Zainab of being blinded by pity, or worse, by affection. The argument ended with Aisha storming out, warning her that she might regret her blind trust one day. Zainab sat alone afterward, torn between her loyalty to her friend and the strange bond forming between her and Luqman. Meanwhile, Luqman began to notice the shift in the atmosphere. He could sense the whispers, the side glances, and the way conversations fell silent when he approached. He had experienced judgment before, but this time it mattered because the one person he didn't want to hurt was right in the center of it all. That night, as Zainab cooked a simple dinner, Luqman offered to help, trying to lighten the mood with gentle humor. She smiled faintly, but her eyes betrayed her inner conflict. Finally, she spoke, telling him about the rumors, about Aisha's suspicions, and about her fear of losing her reputation. Luqman listened carefully, then looked her in the eyes and said, "Sometimes the truth cannot be revealed before its time, but when it is, it will silence every lie." His calm assurance shook her in ways she couldn't explain. She wanted to demand answers, but something in his tone told her to wait. Outside, neighbors passed by the house slowly, peering through the windows like vultures waiting for a scandal. The pressure on Zainab grew with each passing day, but so did her quiet faith in the man she had helped. Luqman, on his part, began taking extra precautions during his late-night calls, moving farther away from the house to keep his secrets intact. The tension between trust and doubt grew heavier, like a rope being pulled from both ends, waiting to snap. In the market, the whispers began to take a more dangerous turn. Mr. Okoro, a wealthy but cunning businessman who had been eyeing Zainab's small piece of inherited land, noticed the rumors and saw an opportunity. He approached her stall with a forced smile, offering unsolicited advice about men like Luqman and how quickly kindness could turn into disaster. His tone was oily, pretending concern but dripping with hidden motives. He suggested she sell her land and move on with her life, promising to help her expand her business if she accepted his offer. Zainab politely declined, sensing his manipulation. But his eyes narrowed, and she knew he wasn't done. Later that week, he invited Aisha for a casual chat at a cafe, subtly fueling her doubts and pushing her to convince Zainab to cut ties with Luqman. He offered Aisha a business opportunity in exchange for her cooperation, tempting her loyalty with promises of success. Aisha was torn. She cared about Zainab, but she also doubted Luqman deeply. Meanwhile, Luqman observed Okoro from afar one afternoon, recognizing him immediately. Unknown to Zainab, Okoro had a history with Luqman's business empire, and their paths had crossed years ago in a boardroom far from this modest neighborhood. Seeing him near Zainab's stall made Luqman's protective instincts flare silently. He didn't act immediately, but he began watching more closely, aware that this was not mere coincidence. The game was beginning to change. As days passed, Zainab found herself standing between two worlds, one built on loyalty and trust, and another clouded by fear and suspicion. Aisha visited less often, her conversations growing colder, while the neighbors' whispers grew louder. Luqman continued to live simply, helping her in ways that slowly improved her life, but without explaining his true intentions. She often caught him staring into the distance, lost in thought, as if weighing a heavy decision. Sometimes, late at night, she would watch him from her bedroom door as he paced outside, speaking softly into the phone, his figure outlined by the faint moonlight. She felt both curious and scared, unsure whether to ask again or wait for the truth to reveal itself. One rainy evening, as thunder rolled across the sky, she finally whispered to herself, "Who are you, Luqman?" Her question was swallowed by the storm, but in the darkness, Luqman heard it faintly. He didn't answer, but his eyes hardened slightly, as if bracing himself for what lay ahead. This episode marked the beginning of shifting loyalties, strategic moves, and deeper emotional bonds. Whispers were turning into questions, questions into conflicts, and conflicts into the first cracks in the fragile trust they shared.